What's going on, guys? This is actually my first voiceover ever on a video, so I hope my voice is nice and soothing for you all. I'm just playing, but actually I have not been able to get to boxing class lately, just because of life. So I'm gonna walk you through what I've been doing to stay sharp when I'm not in class. First off, with the jump rope, just to warm up, one of my favorite forms of cardio, and just kind of get the blood flowing before I start moving around and sweating. You know what I'm saying? First round is going to be the jab, a full round of that, 3 minutes, and just trying to stay sharp with it, trying to be fast and solid and strong, bringing it right back to the face, along with some defensive movements, bringing my head off the line, moving around the bag, really just trying to get in motion, get in focus for what I'm about to do next. Next is going to be the 1-2. Again, just real simple stuff, just really trying to stay technical with it, trying to stay strong. And time the bag as well. That's something I always try to focus on. I don't want to just try to chase the bag, Third round is going to be just all hooks. Again, going up top, going to the body, going to the head, and really just trying to drive those hooks home. And then for that fourth and final round, I'm tying it all together. I'm throwing combinations. You see right here, I was gassed at this point, but again, it felt good to hit that bag again. Here, going to the core for the cable crunch is one of my favorite workouts for the core, and you really want to focus on the crunch at the bottom. For the obliques, I love the cable, I guess it would be twists with the rope. I really just try to focus on keeping my arms in front of me and using my obliques to really turn and control when I return home on that rack. And then final is going to be, I don't even know what this is called, the crunch machine, but I really just want to use this to try to tie it all together for the core. At this point, I was done. I was so tired, but I really wanted to get through it. And now you see me in the posing room, literally just for me to look at myself. I do the exact same poses every single time. If you go on my page, you'll see it's the same thing, but still felt good. It's nice to see the pump, nice to see the muscles moving. After this, I went to the sauna for a good 20 minutes. I love to just kind of sit in there, sweat, and meditate, and kind of think about my workout, and try to plan my day for next time. Either way, I really appreciate it, guys. Oh man, hello. This is, I guess, my first update from the video I posted. I think that was like a month, maybe 2 months ago. Just on, get that out of the way, sorry. Just on, my life and what I've been doing and the progress I've made in my journey of just being, I guess, maximizing myself, right, as much as possible. In the beginning, I'm going to post a video of me in the gym. This isn't a fitness channel at all, right? I just kind of want to show you clips of just what I've been doing to try to better myself, whether that's working out, eating, school, work, whatever that is. But let's just jump right into it, right? I don't want to, I got work here in a little bit. I have some food I'm going to eat before that. I just got done from the gym. I don't know if you can tell my hair is wet. I might be sweaty a little bit still from the shower. I hate when I'm get done with the gym and I shower and then I get out the shower and I start sweating again. I'm just like, all right. Anyway, I'm gonna start with the bad first. And I wouldn't even say bad, but just, stuff that, just hasn't, I don't necessarily say going my way, but just, I haven't been doing as well as I could be, right? Cause I always like ending on a good note, and so I plan on it with this video and, hopefully every other video. But some of the bad, realistically, I feel like I could be doing more, and I don't want to say that in a sense of like, you're not doing enough and do more, because, I know I've kind of fallen into the trap of watching those, motivational videos and whether it's, David Goggins, screaming at you or whatever, some random podcast with some music behind it talking about you need to suffer and you need to, and all that stuff. And in a sense, yeah, I do kind of agree, right? You have to do hard stuff. You have to do hard stuff. You have to do things that you don't want to do in order to get to where you want to be, right? But I don't want to necessarily frame it as if I'm not doing enough and I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, you're lazy, you're terrible, all this stuff, because it happens, right? And I guess it's like toxic positivity in a sense where you just you don't take the time to reflect on what you are doing right, because everything, at that point you're just always gonna be like, I'm not doing enough, fuck what I did before, fuck whatever I got going on. I'm not doing enough. I'm not where I need to be, right? And I have definitely fallen into that trap. But every day is a new day, right? And I'm just trying to climb out of it, So some of the things that I feel like I haven't been doing well at, one, I mentioned before my sleep schedule, like I, just have a terrible, terrible, terrible sleep schedule. Granted, again, my job, like, I do get up late. Sometimes I'll be getting home at 11, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, so it's kind of tough to obviously go to bed early, get up early. But even then, like on my days off, it kind of carries over, and I'll be up really late, and I'll be sleeping in late, and it doesn't feel good when you're waking up at 10 o'clock, getting out of bed at 11 o'clock, and you're just like, the fuck, like my day's gone, right? Excuse me. So I think that's something I definitely need to work on, and I am. I definitely am working on that. Another thing, and I think this is something that I kind of really struggled with, and maybe, and if anyone who's watching this, maybe they struggle with it too. I really have no idea, but something that I've struggled with, and I really try to be transparent with all this stuff, is, I don't want to just talk a lot, right, about what I want to do, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and not doing anything about it. I think a lot of that happens a lot with me, and maybe other people too, where, they say, well, I want to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it, and it just doesn't happen, and you just keep falling into the same pattern, the same habits that are keeping you from, succeeding and doing what you want, right? So that was something that I've definitely have, just been a victim of, right? And, it for me, it kind of just takes a matter of just being honest with myself, and just being real about my situation, about what I am doing and what I'm not doing, and how that's affecting me. Not only just with where I'm at in my life, but mentally, emotionally, because again, you don't want to, say you want to do something and then you don't do it, and then you broke that promise to yourself, and then you feel down about yourself, and then you fall back into the habits that are comfortable for you, but even those habits probably aren't good for you, and it's just such a cycle of, mediocrity, or just, letting yourself down, and whatever that looks like to you, however that is, right? It's gonna be different for everybody. But for me, I know I definitely have fallen into that trap, and, I'm making a point to get out of it. And also, building onto that, being honest with myself, right? I think sometimes, say for example, the gym, right? I mean, obviously the gym, I love going to the gym. I go to the gym all the time, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. I run, I go to boxing, I do all this stuff, and I love to be active, I love to be fit, right? But now it's gotten to a point where I enjoy doing that. So it could be discipline, right? I'm still disciplined in going and doing that, but that's not moving me forward. I'm not using it to move me forward. It's something that I just enjoy doing. So I'm not growing mentally, I feel like, from that, if that makes sense. I remember I was listening to I think it was an Andrew Huberman podcast. And they were talking about like building the willpower, and how, I think it was that, it might have been, I could be wrong, but it was like talking about building willpower, and actually how that's like a piece in your brain, like there's a piece in your brain that affects that, and in order to grow that, you have to do things you don't want to do necessarily, but it's good for you, or do hard things, right? I mean, they always say do something hard, but I mean, that's so real. But once that hard thing becomes easy, or you start enjoying it, it's no longer aiding in building that willpower. And so for me, again, like I go to the gym all the time, and I would feel like, I would tell myself like, oh, this is helping me be more disciplined, and this and that. But it wasn't, because although I'm going to the gym, my diet wasn't right. My life around me wasn't right. I'm still waking up, late. I'm still smoking, drinking. I'm not applying to school. I'm not applying to a job. Like I'm tricking myself into thinking that I'm really pushing forward when I'm not. And I think for me, that was probably a coping mechanism, just of just lying to myself and not being honest about the situation I'm in, because I think, I mean, for me and maybe for you guys, it's hard to be honest about where you're at and where you're falling short, right? It really is hard to be honest about it. And I know for me, like, sometimes you just don't acknowledge that. You just don't. And so, yeah, I mean, I think I was definitely using the gym as a crutch and trying to trick myself into thinking like I'm doing, like, this is helping me do all this stuff. And it really wasn't. It really wasn't. So yeah, right. I mean, that's kind of what I've been kind of thinking about, rummaging with, for the past couple of weeks, and just trying to kind of move forward. And even that, right? Like, I think another example is, I have a bunch of books here. I could literally pull out. I have this one. Shout out to my amazing girlfriend for getting me this book. It's actually really good. I have the, Psychology of Money. I have the Laws of Human Nature here. I have the Habits of Highly Effective People. I have all these books, right? And again, I get them, and I'm only doing one part. I'll buy the books, but then they're just sitting on the side, and I still come home and I still turn on TV at night. I'm up just watching TV, or I'm on my phone scrolling, and the books are sitting here, right? So I'm only doing one part. I'm buying the book to say, oh, look at me. You know what I'm saying? Look at me, buy this book. Look at me. I'm doing something to better myself, but then, like, I'm not taking that next step. I'm not taking that next step because, right? I mean, realistically right now, like, my brain is not wired for that. Because I've been scrolling so much, because I've been watching TV, because I'm on my computer, because I was smoking, I was drinking, like, my brain just wasn't wired to just, like, let me sit down and read. And even when I would try, like, maybe I would get bored after a while. I would be constantly like, fuck, let me go pick my phone up. What's happening here? I need to know what's going on here. And a lot of times, I'll be sitting there scrolling, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, I just realized, like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. I can't even recall what I just scrolled past. I'm not getting any good information from it. If anything, it's making me feel worse, right? It's making me feel bad, whether I'm looking up just negative news, shit going on in the world, or I'm on Instagram and, I'm seeing, oh, well, this person's doing this, I'm not doing that, or they're doing this better than I am. Now I feel like shit about myself. I'm comparing myself, and it's not even necessarily conscious comparison. I feel like a lot of it's subconscious, just, you see people happy, and of course, we all know people are going to post their best self on social media. A lot of people don't want to be vulnerable on social media. I completely understand that, right? I'm not even that vulnerable on social media. I try to be, I try to be honest about my situations, but even then, like, I'm going to post the pictures where I look the best in, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to, try to film things a certain way to where the lighting hits me, and also, because I want to give off a certain look and put together, whatever the case is. And yeah, so I mean, even being on the phone, it just makes you feel terrible. Makes you feel terrible and scrolling, and knowing that that's not helping me move forward in any way possible. At least for myself, and obviously you can use social media, you can use that stuff to move forward, whether you have a business and you're trying to promote that, or your clients are on there, and that's how you're communicating. Like, of course, there's good ways to use it, but the reality is that I wasn't using it in a good way. I mean, I'm still not. I still have it, right? And, I would imagine a lot of people aren't. How many people are sitting here talking about just how shitty they feel all the time, every day, but at the same time, they're constantly scrolling through Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, whatever the case is. And it's just such negative vibes, really, just pointless brain rot videos. And sometimes, yeah, of course, shit's funny, right? Sometimes if you have a super stressful day, you just want to just not use your brain. I understand that. And I guess it's all in moderation. You want to use it in moderation. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's the whole point, right? Is using it in moderation, and and having those limits on there. So recently, I have this app called Opal, and there's a bunch of different apps that can do something like this. But Opal, I guess this probably sounds. I clearly am not sponsored by anybody. I have no subscribers, so don't even think. But it just helps me block apps, right? And I put limits on there that just won't allow me to open them up at all. No breaks, nothing. I just put limits on it, and even then, like, it's still affecting me in certain ways. So I'm working on really limiting that, or even just taking it out of my life for the time being, just to kind of really just get my mental right. I'm just looking at the time here, but yeah, I've definitely been struggling with that lately. And shout out to my girl. We had a nice long conversation the other day, and she kind of just put a lot of things in perspective for myself. And again, it comes down to I say I want to do these things, but I'm not putting in as much effort as I should be doing it, And she was just kind of just put me straight. She was like, hey, like you say these things, and I see you wanting to do that, and you're putting some effort, but you could be doing so much more, And it wasn't even from a space of like, you're a bum, you're not doing this, but it's just about, it was coming from a spot of just, I believe in you. I know you can do it, but you need to believe in yourself as well, and you need to do the hard things, right? So I say all that to end on a good note, right? What I have done to try to better myself and move forward in life. One is I have stopped drinking and smoking. I think it's about 3 weeks now, coming up on 3 weeks where I haven't done that. And I mean, that might not be a permanent thing. I might, maybe special occasions, just in that. But just right now, I just had to stop. And, again, I think I was just not being honest with myself about how bad it was. I don't think I was an alcoholic. I wasn't, just slumped, just drunk as hell, right? But, I would get home, I would have a drink. I'd have, like, I would pull over a drink, smoke, and just, cloud my mind up, you know what I'm saying? And it just became a habit. And I wasn't being honest with myself about, how bad it could get. So I've stopped that. Has it helped? I mean, I would say so. As obviously I'm definitely more clear-headed. Just not being, having that hangover. I mean, it wouldn't even be a hangover, but just feeling groggy the next day, whether it's from the weed or the alcohol, whatever. That's not happening, right? And I think I'm a lot more focused on where I want to go and what I'm trying to do. So I think it has helped. And again, I think it just aids in the kind of the whole discipline factor. If I can do that, I can do this, and if I can do this, I can do that, and just kind of build on those goals and those good times and the achievements that you're doing. So I've stopped doing that. School, I've kind of narrowed down what I want to major in, what I want to study, and I'm applying to schools here and trying to get that going as well and get my degree. I have 2 years left to get my bachelor's, and that just should fly by. And, that's just going to put me in a better spot. It's going to put me in a better spot, and it's also going to help my mental as well, and I feel like now, at the age I'm at, I'm really eager to learn. I'm really eager to just use my brain in a way to solve things, learn and challenge myself moving forward. That's something I really, really want to do. It's something I do enjoy doing, right? But I know I could just take it further. And, I believe in myself for sure. But I also have to put myself in the position to achieve those things. I really do. And I was not doing that. And if anything, I was stopping myself from doing that. Probably from fear, right? From fear of like, well, what happens if I get into that space and I don't do as well? Or what happens if I do get in that space and I do well? And then what? Where do I go from there? It's a lot of, fear. It was stopping me from kind of going forward. So I'm really trying to stop that and really believe in myself and tell me I am capable. I can do this. I can do that. I can do this. And the crazy thing is I have people telling me that. I have people telling me like, oh, you should do this. Like you can do this. You can do that. But I wasn't believing it. If anything, I thought like, oh, you guys are just being nice. You guys are just saying nice things. Like I really would tell myself that when people would give me compliments or say, oh, you're so smart, whatever the case is. I would be in my head, I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, you're lying, you're not, that's not true. Because that's how I felt about myself, so I'm really trying to turn that, and just really tell myself how great I am, and how great I can be. And I think everyone should be doing that, right? And it's not easy to do, especially on those bad days, but it's something that I feel like is necessary. So yeah, I'm doing that. I'm also trying to, obviously I'm working out, right? But I'm trying to use it in a different way, in a different motivation, instead of just feeling like, oh, I'm going, so that's, I'm really doing something great, but just try to change my viewpoint on it to really benefit me. How am I doing that? I don't really know right now, but that's kind of what what I want to do. And I think my biggest thing is, and what I'm really proud of, and I just really want to keep doing that going forward. I talked about it earlier in this video. It's just being honest about my situation, whether it's financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, being honest with myself and being real, and having those hard conversations, whether it's with me, whether it's with people in my life, having those conversations and being real, because I think for myself, and maybe you guys can relate, I definitely have been lying to myself and to protect my own feelings, and to just, in fear of like, oh, well, if I acknowledge it, it's real, right? So I would just try to ignore. But that I just can't happen anymore. I don't want to be 50, 60, 70, 80, and I'm looking back in my life like, damn, I could have did this, and this. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want that. And for me, I think the first step is just being honest. And because once you are honest with yourself and you realize where you're at and what you're lacking in, then you can take those next steps. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to take those next steps. So just want to give an update on, I guess, what I got going on, right? And yeah, I'm looking forward to making more videos. I definitely want to be more consistent with this. Whether for anyone, for people who end up watching maybe, and really just for myself, I enjoy having this conversation with the camera and talking, and it feels good to kind of get this out and just out in the world, and just out of my mind, right? So definitely plan on doing that and being more consistent with it and giving me better updates. And I'm excited, I'm excited for the future. It could be daunting, right? And just thinking about like, oh man, especially with social media, and you look at you thinking like, oh my God, like the world's ending and everything's going crazy. Sorry, I cut off. But yeah, especially with social media, you think everything's collapsing around you, but you just step outside and you realize it's not, so I say all that to say, thank you for listening. I'm really happy with where I'm headed and just kind of my mental state at the moment. And I'm just really excited for what's to come. And I hope that whoever's watching this, or ends up watching it, you guys get something out of it. So yeah, thank you for listening to me. Have a great rest of your day.